Right. Um, so I guess Nalini will be late and she will have missed this conversation. Uh, do you have any questions so far? And I would like to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway from yesterday's workshop? Yogita, what was your biggest takeaway from yesterday's workshop? It was. Okay, good. Great. Yes, 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 yes. What about you, Sonia? What is your biggest takeaway? Thank you, Yogita. You have to unmute yourself, my dear. Right. Hmm. So you found a calm space in your mind. Yes. Mhm. All right. Great. Yeah. Right. Well done. That's good. That's good. Lovely. Great. Good to hear. Thank you, Sonia, for sharing. Rachna, hello. Hmm. Hmm. What was your takeaway? What was your takeaway from the workshop? What did? That's all right. Hmm. That's it. Yes. Hmm. 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 Great. Hmm. Let me just see if Nalini has said something. No. All right. Well, I'm afraid she'll be missing out. Um, right. Great. Well, that sounds good. It sounds like, so on the other side of matter, on the other side of the frequency of light, there is no time and space. So some of you have already tuned sort of into this, into what was about to happen here. And it's, you can't really measure this kind of work specifically. For each person it's different, which makes it so fascinating and interesting. So I'm going to proceed now. More you observe after this, more you're going to understand. I also encourage you to study and to follow some, I'll tell you some books that I've been reading that also really help. And the more you study yourself, the more you understand who you really are, the more centered and empowered you get. The less we live, the less we know about ourselves, it becomes very difficult to live from the inside out, because you really do believe that things are happening to you all the time, and you don't see clearly how things are coming out of you and then getting reflected back. All right, so I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bob Proctor. I just want to introduce him quickly. He started out as a miserable young man. He had a $6,000 debt, and he only earned $4 every month, and he could never pay his debt back. He was always sick and unwell, and he was really in a bad state. He was not a happy person, and he met a man who was kind to him and who said, look, I have a book, and if you read this book and if you do everything that you're asked to do, your life will change. And Bob had never done what he had been told to do. He had a hard time in school, he had a hard time in the army, but he decided, somehow he felt that this man believed that he could change, and that he could live a better life. So he took this book. It was the book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. Now you have to understand that in those days, in the beginning of the century, within the 30s there and the 40s, there was a big depression in America. So people were really struggling to make ends meet. So Napoleon Hills wrote his book after speaking to some of the most successful and the richest person in America, called Carnegie. And Carnegie said, these are the things that I do that have made me successful. I also started out poor. And Napoleon Hill took that information and wrote a book. It's a great book. You can approach it from any side. You don't have to think about the money aspect. It helps you understand how your mind works. So Bob started out on his journey, and he became a millionaire within 1 year. He was cleaning office floors. Then he created a company that cleaned office floors, and then he made a lot of money, and he started wasting the money, and one day he stopped and he said, okay, I actually don't understand how I came from where I was to where I am today. I want to understand the secret behind my success. So he changed his life, and he became a student of the sciences of the mind, and he discovered a writer called Thomas Troward, and he also read other books and met others, and he put together this thing that he then started teaching in his seminar. He doesn't claim any of it to be his knowledge, but he collected it to put it together into a replicable method that people can use to reach their goals, reach their dream life, become the person they want to be, have the thing they want to have, really grow into who they truly are. And there's this spiritual aspect to this that resonated with me, because we have a lot of life coaches, but I have not heard anybody so far speak about the spirituality of the creative process, the fact that there is nothing more spiritual than to create an idea out of nothing, out of the frequency, bring it into the mind, and then manifest it on this planet. And I believe that this is what Sri Aurobindo, in fact, was referring to as the life divine, to live, to bring the divine consciousness, consciously creating the world around you. So it's a very hands-on thing. Hello? Who? Yes? All right. So Bob Proctor then had a lot of information, but he didn't have the missing piece. And finally, his friend, who was the head of the space project in America, told him about this doctor. His name is Dr. Thurman Fleet. And in 1963, Dr. Thurman Fleet, who was treating people in a holistic manner, he came up with an image for the mind. Now, as potters, we know the importance of thinking in pictures. We picture things that we want to do. If actually the way human beings think is in pictures. If I'm asking you, what does your front door look like? You will have a picture, an image of your front door. When I ask you what your fridge looks like, the outside, is it silver or what? You immediately see it. You see the picture. We think in pictures, but when it comes to mind and mind work, it is very abstract. The mind is not the brain. The brain is an electronic switching station, right? It doesn't generate the thoughts. It thinks the thoughts that are generated in the mind. The mind thinks, the thoughts are brought into our brain, but the mind creates the thoughts. What is the mind? The mind is the part of you that sits back and says, my head, my hand, my feelings. And when you do meditation or vipassana, it is that witness. When you clear it, you have amazing thoughts. So the mind is not your brain. So then what is the mind? So working with the mind becomes much easier, Dr. Thurman Fleet discovered, when you have an actual diagram, a picture of the mind. So he created a diagram of the mind and we call that diagram the stick person. And when Bob Proctor saw the stick person and understood the principles behind it, he said, this was the missing key. Now I can bring everything that I've learned to this. And for us, the stick person is the key to understanding how the mind works. Now, the human mind works the same for everybody. It's basically like a computer. Everyone gets it at birth, boom, and then the programming happens depending where you're born, depending where you grow up. But the human mind works the same way for everybody. And now I'm going to show you the diagram and we shall go into that. So this representation has helped millions of people understand. So I would like you to use your imagination and imagine that this circle is the mind, the largest circle. And it is connected to the smaller circle, which is the body. Now, why is the mind shown as larger than the body? That is because the body is an instrument of the mind. The mind thinks and the body executes. Now, when we divide the mind into two parts, we have the conscious mind here, which I've been telling you, we have an intellect, and we have the subconscious mind. This is the emotional mind. Now, the conscious mind has the properties that it can accept or reject information that comes from the outside. That is why I said, use your conscious mind, use your perception, and don't get onto any wagon that passes by. Don't accept any thought to come in. You can reject it. You can say, oh, that's interesting, but it's not for me, right? The subconscious mind cannot reject. It is 100% deductive. So the subconscious mind is like the soil. You can plant anything into it and it will grow. It doesn't know the difference between real or imaginary, which is why children, in their own world often believe imaginary things to be real because they have the subconscious mind, and this part is not yet developed in a young child. So we think with our conscious mind, the subconscious mind executes what is impressed upon it, and then it expresses itself through the body. I'm going to repeat that. We think with our conscious mind, the subconscious mind executes what is impressed upon it, and it expresses itself through our body. So the body is an instrument of the mind, right? This is the first part. The body expresses the vibrations through actions and behavior, but it is expressing the emotions create the vibration in the body. These three are linked, and in reality, this is in every cell of our body. It is not out there. There is no circle outside. We have made this diagram to help us to understand more clearly what is happening. Because with understanding comes empowerment, and faith based on understanding is the key to freedom. Now, our conscious mind is hardwired to our five senses: hearing, seeing, taste, touch, smell. Yes, this is the intellect. This is hardwired to our five senses. The subconscious mind is the emotional mind. So what does it mean that our conscious mind is hardwired to our five senses? It means that anything that happens around you is constantly getting fed into your conscious mind, where you then form thoughts about it, right? Those thoughts you impress onto your subconscious mind through repetition. So one thought won't get impressed. You're not going to get emotionally involved with the first time you have a thought. But if you can think a thought repeatedly and it forms those, oh, here's Nalini. I'm just going to welcome her. 1 second. Hi, Nalini. Hi, don't be sorry. I've recorded it so you can follow. Can you see me? Can you hear me? All right. Where are you? Are you at home? Oh, I should have come home. All right. I will just continue now. So imagine this to be the mind. We draw a line. This is the conscious mind. The conscious mind is hardwired to our five senses. Our thoughts are controlled by what is happening around us, like that nasty bus driver. If we repeatedly think about it and repeatedly have thoughts of that kind, then those thoughts are impressed on our subconscious mind. And then we get emotionally involved with those thoughts. So that means you get really angry. Instead of the thought just coming and going in 2 seconds, you get emotionally involved. And when you get emotionally involved, when it's impressed onto the subconscious mind, those emotions then express themselves through the body. So that means when you're angry, you definitely feel it in your body. You can feel it. Your body changes. When you're calm and happy, your body changes. When you're sad, well, we cry, our body changes, right? So our body expresses our thoughts that are imprinted onto our emotional mind. You get emotionally invested, and our body expresses that through actions and behavior. Is this clear? Yeah? Okay. Now this is the cycle of bondage that we live before we understand what is happening. We have thought, information. So remember yesterday I said that spirit is constantly flowing to you and through you, constantly. That energy that beats your heart, the energy that gives you life, the energy that makes sure everything is working. We're not going every morning and checking that all our organs are working. They are working. The planets are beautifully positioned around each other. The sky is there. Everything is, that spirit also flows to us and through us continuously. Now we take that spirit and we make thoughts out of it. When you think, when you create a thought, that's what you have done with that energy. You have taken the energy and you have given it a form in your mind. Now repeated thoughts then are imprinted. By repeating a thought, you get emotionally invested in it. You start to believe that what you're thinking is true. Anyway, your subconscious mind has no distinction between what is true and what is not true. Your paradigms, your programming is also in your subconscious mind. And that is because when you were little, we didn't have this part, so whatever was spoken around us, whatever was happening around us got imprinted into our subconscious mind, and we accepted it as being absolutely true. And this thing that we accepted to be absolutely true about ourselves, about the world, about money, about religion, about whatever, that has formed the way we then live our lives. That forms our belief systems. We never question them, we just automatically live that way, right? Now these emotions then that are formed because of the thought impression are then impressed onto our body, and they create a vibration in our body, and this vibration in your body will dictate your action and your behavior. And you draw from the universe conditions and similar vibrations and energy, which then define your results. The R stands for your result. Now what happens when you see this result? Yes? What? Yes, so I'm just going to do it one more time. So when you observe your reactions through your five senses, you see your life. This is my reality. The reality around me, I'm observing it. You form thoughts that are based on this reality, and those thoughts are impressing themselves onto your subconscious mind, because we repeat to ourselves a lot of stuff all the time. If you start watching, you find that there is a lot of repetition of thoughts. That repetition then actually impresses itself onto your emotions, onto your emotional mind, and you get emotionally invested in that thought. And when you are emotionally invested in that thought, you have already started, the process of creation is already in full swing, because emotions are then turning into vibrations in your body. And the vibration in your body then dictates how you act and how you behave. When you are angry, your body expresses that anger in a certain way. When you are depressed, it expresses it in a certain way. A depressed person doesn't go around smiling. A depressed person looks like this. And a depressed person speaks a certain way. So our behavior, our actions reflect our thoughts, reflect what we are doing with the information that comes in from the outside through our five senses. And so you go on recreating a similar reality, a similar result, because you observe the result. Oh, I'm still without this, whatever I want, this is not happening for me, this is never going to happen for me. Sure enough, of your thoughts about it get impressed on your emotions, you get depressed. So even if there's somebody wonderful standing right in front of you who says, hey, I want to be your partner, or if you see somebody who can help you with, I don't know what it is, writing your book or whatever, you don't resonate with them. Remember I said we are like tuning forks. So if you're on a certain vibration, and if that vibration is the vibration of depression or anger or desperation, you will never notice the person who's standing in your face, who is joyful and happy and ready to do for you what you want. But you will notice everything else. You will notice everything that is going against you, everything that is sad, everything that is depressive. And this is why I will never try to convince another person that what they believe is not true, because it is true. As long as you believe it, it is absolutely true. Whether you want to believe something else is up to you. But what you believe, you will experience, and it will be your reality. And this is how we create our own reality. Reality are. We observe our reality, we think about it, we get emotionally invested in what it is. We then, that emotion translates into vibrations in the body, and those vibrations come out in the way we act and behave. Thoughts, emotions, actions, these three together is what we call attitude. Okay? Our attitude expresses what we think, how we feel, and how we act. And this, most people are living their whole life. Nothing will change, because as long as you are thinking about the same result and the same problem, you are creating the same emotions of helplessness and, oh, I'm a victim and this is happening to me again. See, those emotions express themselves in your body so that your actions and your behavior don't allow for a different thing to happen. You attract to yourself, you only see and act in a way that will draw from the universe. And this is how the law of attraction works. The universe gives you whatever you are putting out. The universe is like the universal subconscious mind is like our subconscious mind. Whatever you plant there, if you can plant a seed of poisonous fruit, a poisonous plant, you can plant corn right next to it. The two will grow. The universe is not going to tell you, oh, this is bad for you, so I won't grow it. Whatever you plant will grow for you. You've got to understand, you are the planter. Now, there's a very interesting law. So there are these universal laws that Bob Proctor bases that this knowledge is based on, and these universal laws are understood by the few most successful and amazing people in the world, by the 3% or 2% of people, hardly. And these are the laws, the primary law of vibration, which we talked about yesterday. Everything is vibration. We live in an ocean of motion. Nothing is still. Even the thing that looks like it's not changing, if you go close enough with your microscope, if you look into matter enough, even those molecules are moving, atoms are moving. Everything is frequency, okay? The second law is the law of perpetual transmutation. That means spirit is constantly moving into matter, and matter is constantly moving back into spirit. There is a constant creation of what you see around you. It's not made one time and then left and finished. It is constantly being recreated. If you learn science and if you've understood physics, this universe is constantly recreating itself. Then there's the secondary law of attraction, which we have just shown you. Similar energy draws from the universe similar energy. And where you give your thoughts is where you give energy. So whatever energy you're putting out, whatever you're focusing on, will become more. Any idea that is either feared or revered will automatically start becoming a thing of reality. You have to understand, even the ideas that you fear will become real because you are giving it that energy. You are focusing on it. Right? Then there is the law of polarity, which says everything has its opposite. And we will go into that later. But I want to talk to you about the law of gestation, because The law of gestation is, I was talking about planting seeds, right? Planting positive ideas, planting understanding and faith and more of who you truly are, this understanding of that I am a spiritual being and my core nature is unconditional love, unconditional well-being, and it is all-knowing and it is omnipresent. This is the core of who I am. The more you move into that, it'll help you to start monitoring your thoughts and saying, well, that is not me, that is a pattern. However, whatever you plant, let's take your wish. When a farmer plants a seed in his field, he doesn't go the next day and say, oh, where's my corn? Where's the wheat? I planted it yesterday, why hasn't it come? This is what we do. When we make a wish, we want it there the next moment, right now. I want it right now. There is a law of gestation. A baby takes 9 months in the womb to grow. We don't get pregnant and say, okay, tomorrow I want the baby, out you come, right? It's the law of gestation. The same goes with whatever dream or wish or desire that you have. You plant it, but then you have to nurture it. You have to be patient and allow it to draw the energies to it that will make it grow, that will make it a reality. And the journey is the biggest gift, because the person that you become in your journey towards your goal, that is the biggest gift you get. You become a vibrant, confident, self-empowered person. You start living from the inside out, not from the outside in, right? And this next diagram is called the little mind. This is when you are a baby, every baby has only this part of the mind, this subconscious mind, and it is open because the intellect is not formed. So whatever is happening in your surrounding, whatever ideas are being expressed at home, or events, or whatever is happening with the radio, or everything, parents and relatives talking, goes straight in. And if it is repeatedly being told, it starts forming the paradigm, the belief system, the self-image. Now, if you are growing up in an environment that accepts you for who you are and that never criticizes you and that is loving and caring, then it forms a different self-image from somebody who grows up in an environment where criticism is constant, where you're always told you're not the right color, you're not the right shape, you're not as smart as your brother, or you're not as smart as, oh, I wish you had been a boy, or whatever. These things then create a self-image of unworthiness and of, insecurity. And then you go through your life with that image. This is what creates your paradigm, your self-image and your fixed ideas and beliefs. If you have heard many times as a child, oh, those rich people are rich because they're cheating and because they're bad, and only, if someone is rich, you better be suspicious of them because they've done something wrong. I mean, people say all sorts of stuff. Everybody has their programming. Our parents got programmed. Their parents got programmed. Our programming comes from generations and generations before us. It's not something that we have chosen, and it runs 95% of our lives. It is what we do without giving it a second thought. I like this particular food. I've never thought about why I like it. I like it, probably it's because my mom liked it, or my parents liked it, or, and their ancestors liked it, whatever. This is how our paradigms are formed, and this happens before the age of 7. So here's the key. Try not to get emotionally involved in a negative thought, with a negative idea. It will start a chain reaction because the subconscious mind has to accept anything you impress upon it, consciously or unconsciously. Yeah. The subjective mind is amoral. It is like the earth. It doesn't care what you plant. Whether you plant a sweet corn here and 1 centimeter further away you plant a poisonous plant, both will grow. You can plant both. It will return to you exactly what you plant. So again, you will get suggestions from the outside, you will get news, you will get all kinds of inputs. Acknowledge them. We're not here to put our heads in the sand. Acknowledge them, but let that rotating door, that revolving door in your mind, let it revolve. Say, oh, that's interesting, but that's not who I want to be, and I don't want more of that. I don't want more of that. And you have to understand that I told you that we have momentum. There is momentum already. Things that are happening to us or things that have happened to us have happened not because of a thought you had 5 minutes ago. We have created momentum through years of unconscious thinking and unconscious creation. So, the 17-second rule, it's very useful. Imagine now that you are standing, that you have your car and you are in San Francisco, and you and your car are at the top of a hill, and you climb out of your car and you have the handbrakes on, and in front of you there is a slope and goes right down, and you release your handbrake and your car slowly starts to move a few inches, and you just stand in front of it and you can stop it. You can stop it because it hasn't gathered momentum. That's your 17-second rule. Now, you don't stop it there, it goes faster. If you're waiting down below, or if you try and stand halfway down the hill and that car is coming at you, you can't stop it. You get crushed. But that is the time when people go like, oh, I need help, and what is happening to me? And that's when the accident has happened. That's when the tragedy has happened. That's when it's happening. So when something like that happens, when you feel like you are in a flow of something that you have no control of, then just tell yourself, this is momentum. I'm not going to add to it. This is momentum. I recognize this. This I've created a while ago, and I've created it consistently. This matches a certain kind of emotion that I've been nurturing and believing that I deserve this. This is all I deserve, so I've been creating it again and again. Nalini. Nalini. Hi. Hi, Nalini. Please, where are you? Do you not have Wi-Fi properly? Where are you? Yeah, I've been there many times. Their Wi-Fi isn't great. Anyway, it'll do. Oh, all right. Well, just don't worry about it too much. Try and stay with us. Luckily on my screen I can see that you disappeared. Okay, so are you getting what I'm saying, girls, ladies, dear ones? This is really important to understand. This is the first step to freedom. to freedom to living a fulfilled life, freedom to living a life that you decide you want to live, to having the money that you want to have, to having the ability to express yourself in this world in the way you want to express yourself, to write the book you want to write, to start a small whatever you want to do, your dream. We have no limits except for this programming. And can we get rid of the programming all at once? Can we immediately become spiritual beings fully, like all the time? Can we get there right now? No, you can't. But you can get there more and more. And the journey is so exciting, so fun, because you start taking control of your life. And what happens is that you will, because you are going to change the vibration that you are in, you're going to stop that car at 17 seconds. You're not going to allow it to roll down the hill. You are going to decide and resonate with whatever it is that resonates with that positive vibration. And suddenly you'll notice things around you hadn't even noticed. You see? All right, so let's see what the time is. Oh my gosh, have I gone? Oh, no, we're good. So, I would like to bring you into a positive space by asking you a question. Have you ever in your life experienced that you create your own reality? Do you have something where you can say, yeah, I thought about this, it was the most unlikely thing to happen. It was the most unlikely person to meet, and somehow it all worked out, and bang, and I decided to go to Japan. I had no money, and I didn't know anybody in Japan, and I had no knowledge of Japanese. I had nothing. I just had the idea that I had held for a while. And one day I said to Paul, this year is going to be the year when I'm going. We had just got together at that time. And Paul's response was, okay, when are we going? So I got full support from him yet again. So I was like, okay, this year I want to go to Japan. What does that mean? That means that I should better start learning a little bit of Japanese, right? So we have a lovely Japanese lady in Oroville. Her name is Valeria, and she is an Ikebana master. So I asked her if she would teach me an hour of Japanese once a week. She said yes. I started studying Japanese. Then she had some friends visiting from Japan, an elderly gentleman who was a master of philosophy. He was teaching philosophy, Sri Aurobindo's philosophy in Japan, and he wanted to speak to someone. It was perfect because my father has translated Sri Aurobindo's books, so we put those two together. And one thing led to another, and 6 months later, I'm in Japan with a traditional master learning pottery. The money also happened. I'm not going to go into details, but it came together. And looking back, I was like, that's how I created that to happen. Do you remember something? Can you give me an example of something that we call serendipity, or serendipity? What is that word? Serendipity. You know what I mean. Serendipity. Yes. And it's happening, I know. Yes. Mm. Mm. Yes. Yes. So you are willing to do whatever it takes, right? Yes. And you made it happen. Exactly. Belief is really important. Now what you did that one time, remember that. Use your memory to remember how it felt, and also the person you were before you did it, the person who for the first time went to see this market, and the person who actually stood and was there at the opening of the Bhopal market. Those two people were miles apart from each other. This one had no idea how to get there, but then she was there one day, right? This is what we're talking about. All right. Yes, because you have no resistance to it. You have no block to it. You allowed it to happen. We don't allow things to happen for us. We have this big magic word called but. I want this but, and we give up. Or you look around you and circumstances. Oh, I don't have the money, so I can't do it. You didn't let that stop you. Exactly. Good for you. So, Aishwarya, Yogita, tell me. Exactly. Thank you. Determination and internal motivation. Well done. Great. Thank you for sharing. Rachna. Hello, Rachna. There are so many. Just take one. Mm. How cute. I know it is. Yes, because you wanted it. You really, really wanted it. Very good, Rachna. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to hear those words coming out of your mouth, Rachna, for that project that you have in your heart that you want to do, whatever it is. I will not let anything stand in the way. And the thing is that the thing that stands in the way the most is our own programming, our own self image, our own unconscious held beliefs. Exactly. Great. Nalini. Thank you, Rachna, for sharing. Nalini. Hello, my dear. Hello. Okay. Nalini, can you type it into the chat, please? Because we can't hear you. Yeah. There is not enough bandwidth, Nalini. 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 Don't worry about it. We can't hear you. Can you write in chat? We'll share tomorrow when you have electricity again. All right. Okay. Oh, she's gone completely. Who you? All right. What else did I want to speak about? So, just a little recap. The stick person helps us to understand the fundamental process, and by observing yourself and others, you can use your mind-body relationship work and how you might be able to change life by becoming aware and changing the way you choose to think. You cannot change the momentum that is coming down the hill. That car that you allow to roll down, there's nothing wrong. Don't give it importance. It'll be a little bit of a crash. Let it roll by you. Don't try and stop it. Just say, okay, this is momentum. In the beginning, when I started this work, I had a lot of momentum. So I had to say a lot of times, I feel terrible. And then I would be like, right, this is momentum. This has nothing to do with what is happening around me right now. This is momentum. Past momentum, just let it go. Just let it pass. Just let it go. Don't try and stop it. Don't push against it. You'll get crushed and you'll feel helpless, etc., which is not who we really are. We are not helpless. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions regarding this? So I'm going to take you to this chart, which is the last one for today. Spirit, energy, divine, God is constantly flowing to and through us. Just tell yourself this every day. As soon as you can remember, Spirit is flowing to and through me. What am I doing with it? Where I'm here, I'm Spirit is flowing to and through me constantly. What are my thoughts? What am I doing with the Spirit? Right? Here you have a choice in your conscious mind. You can take that same Spirit and out of ignorance you can think thoughts of fear, depression, lackfulness, and your emotions will reflect those thoughts. You will feel bad, you will feel depressed, and those emotions will express themselves through your body, through the vibrations in your body and your behavior and your actions will reinforce lackfulness and poverty and victimhood and stuff like that. This, you know exactly what I mean. We recognize this. Or up here is where you make your choice. This is the function of the conscious mind, actually, is the choice making function. We choose. You can choose what to do. Nobody is in here except for you. In here, there's a whole bunch of people like you saw in that house. Yeah? But nobody up here can tell you how to think. So you can decide, I'm going to take spirit and I'm going to use study, understanding, and faith based on these, and I'm going to think thoughts of well-being. I'm going to think thoughts of abundance. I already have everything I need to get to where I want to get. I live in an abundant universe. I live in a loving and abundant universe. And when you have positive thoughts, you have positive emotions. You feel good. You feel happy. Those emotions get translated into a positive vibration in your body, strong, healthy. And that expresses itself through your behavior and your actions. All three do express themselves, and you have abundance, well-being, growth. This is the opposite of growth. When somebody feels good and you ask them, how are you? And they say, oh, I'm great. It's expansive. This is contractive. Negative energy is contractive. Negative thoughts. So remember I talked to you about frequencies. The frequency of negative thoughts are contractive frequencies. And the frequencies of positive thoughts are expansive. Sometimes when for no reason you stand in front of a beautiful sunset, you take a deep breath and your whole body just feels relaxed and happy. So here we have a choice of what we do. And study is going to take you out of ignorance. And then understanding is going to take you out of fear. Because both fear and ignorance are based on things that have no proof. You are afraid of something that you don't know if it's going to happen or not. And you have faith in something that you don't know that it's going to happen or not. Both of these have no proof of actually being real. But we choose fear over faith all the time. You hear one little bad news in the radio, and boom, your fear creates a big image in your mind. Imagine, you use your imagination and you create a terrible image. Here you go, you do this. You do this, you feel bad. You feel suspicious of the person outside. You feel fearful to go out. You feel fear. So then it creates a vibration in your body. Dictates your behavior and your action. And this is the reality you live when you do this. Yes, it's true. It's true. This is true. And this is true. Which one do you want? That's the question. Do you want more of this? Then go ahead. Do you want more of this? Then start the journey. The wonderful thing about spirit that is expressing itself to and through us is that it's never going to stop expanding. It's never going to stop seeking fuller expression. You never reach the end of this journey. We are spiritual beings, so we are infinitely, we live in infinity. We are passing through bodies, but we don't, the true self of who we are doesn't end. The journey doesn't end. A Again, I want to remind you that I offer this free session so that you can become aware of your very own paradigm. It is a very private session and you are doing the work. I'm not telling you anything about your life. You're the one who's going to have the insights of your own life. And that'll really help you to start shifting from having a life that is ruled 95% of the time by your programming that you're not even aware of. Or you can shift from there into awareness and say, oh, pause a moment and say, I would rather act this way. I would rather use my programming and the life I have lived through it. I would like to use it in a positive way. And I can show you how to do that. Now it's time for questions. The first time I heard this information, it was as if somebody had grabbed my head and shaken it around. Because it's a perspective that I have never had, I've never understood. And I'm a very visual person, so this really helps us to understand what is happening. Without this, it's just blah blah, in and out, in one ear, out the other ear. Do you have questions? Well, you already are, and that's the beauty of it. You calm your mind. So sit for 15 minutes. And then it depends. You want to apply it to your creative aspect, or you want to apply it to the financial aspect, or you want to apply it to whichever aspect you want to apply it to. You create an image that you want. Out of this show, I want to earn 2 lakhs. I want to sell all my work, and this is the amount of money I want at the end of it. You write that down, and while you're making your pots, just tell yourself, the work I'm making is going to appeal to everybody. It is going to sell easily. And at the end of the exhibition, I'm going to have 2 lakhs. Remember this. The first time you do it, it'll sound like, that's not even true. It's, you generally say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, or, I'm sure I'm making what I like to make, but nobody's probably going to buy this, or so-and-so is selling their work, that's why I can't sell mine. When you live from the inside out, there is no competition. You create your reality. I did it with every market and every show I've had without understanding the process. The last time was the ceramic market in Italy, and I told myself I'm going to sell my work, and at the end of the market I'm going to have 2,000 euros. I had exactly 2,000 euros. Children use this to pass exams. Businesses use this method. And to make it effective, you will see that when you start, your paradigms will say, oh, no, I'm not doing this for the money. I have one little thing with money. We all have very strong beliefs around money that are not our own. I would like to test yours. Imagine that I'm holding a big wad of euros, big wad, like 50s, big wad, and I come to hold a workshop with you, and you are my audience. Sorry, I can see that my thing is not right. And I hold the money. Let's get the visual effects right. And I go, everybody, this is money. I love money. How did you feel just then? Whoa, what is she saying? She's not even spiritual, right? Whereas if I come to the workshop and I have my little godson in my arm and I say, hello everybody, this is my godson. I love my godson. What are you feeling now? Did you observe the difference in your feelings? When I said I love money, one of the greatest teachers does this on stage, and he teaches this spiritual manifestation, this path that I'm going, and he does this, and the audience, there is a silence after he does the money. You can feel people pulling back into their chairs because they're like, we came here for a different kind of workshop, this guy is a money minded person. I'm not doing this for the money. Money is energy. Money is just as much a manifestation of spirit as I am or you are or this little button is. It's the stories around money that we have grown up with. They create our upper limits. We will never allow ourselves to earn more or to be more abundant financially than that limit that is set, that we set for ourselves. Yes? So this is the limit you have set for yourself. This is what you're allowing yourself. Yes. By the grace of your inner God. Yes. Yes. It's a good observation. Right. So Rachna, you are describing to us your belief system in detail. Yes. And what we can do is we can say up till now. Let us start saying up till now. This is how it has been. Because my Japanese master told me that money will tell you, money always speaks the truth. And it will tell you if something is right or if something is wrong with your attitude, with the way you're doing things. And at that time, I couldn't hear him. I couldn't accept it. But what I did, and I believe I was the first potter to actually step out of the limiting belief of how much a piece of ceramic should cost in an art gallery. And in one of the first shows that Delhi Blue organized in an art gallery, I increased my price tenfold from what it was before. So a platter was 3,000 rupees before the show that I was selling from my studio, and at the show I charged 30, and I sold all of them. And when I had raised the price, all the other potters in the show came to me and said, "What are you doing? No one's ever asked for that much money for their work," etc., etc. They all sold. Well, then right after that, other potters started raising their prices, some of them even higher, and they met with their own paradigms. They met with their own whatever they were creating, belief systems. But I would like us to, in this workshop, I can't do this, but I have done a course called The 8 Spiritual Secrets to Manifesting Money. And it's not for the manifestation of money that I did this course, but I wanted to understand the 8 blocks that we have towards money and how we have created a dislike around money. You say, I just have enough, so I use money as a tool. If you would consider that money was as much spirit and as much a form of energy as everything around us, your relationship to money is built by what you're putting towards it. And if you can put towards it the same attitude that you would put towards a friend or towards somebody that you accept, that you love, that you welcome into your home, and that of course you don't, we have so many examples. That's the thing. We grow up with people pointing out how other people are misusing money. Money is an amplifier. If you are a good person, it gives you the ability to do more good. If you are someone who is living unconsciously, you will use money unconsciously. I have found that a lot of the in my spiritual community, people who, get a lot of money suddenly are not so much aligned with the ideals that they have been preaching before that. So money really shows who you really are when you actually have a lot of it. And before you have a lot of it, I don't know how to express this, but our relationship to money is really colored by our paradigms. And if we can look at that, see that, and release that, it is a power to do more good. It is a tool to do more than just pay your bills and just manage your little life. Yes, of course, if we can do that, we are already blessed. But then we go back to, yes. You don't allow it. Mm. The one that, well, the thing is that when you change one thing, it will it will affect other parts of your life as well, because we are whole beings. We are not, our being is not separated into sections, and they are all interlinked with each other like this. So any one aspect that you pick out to work on will affect all the others as well. There will be a chain reaction. And I would like to do this one-on-one session with you, Rachna, and you have not yet. No, not fingers crossed. It's work. It's not a lot of work. It's a work of awareness, which is not the same as a lot of work. It's a choice to start studying and understanding yourself better, and knowing yourself and observing yourself. And Sri Aurobindo's yoga is exactly what I'm teaching you. It is called integral. It is called integral yoga, and he never wanted to exclude any part of existence, any part of the universe, any part of human nature, because he saw clearly that whenever you try to exclude something, whenever you say no to something, that becomes the thing that remains unresolved, and we need to transform every aspect. Every aspect has to be brought into the light of your spiritual self. So Sri Aurobindo was a spiritual self. You are no less spiritual, a spiritual being, than any other spiritual teachers or masters that we have had here. They have become completely aligned with their spiritual beings, and we are not aligned with them because we don't understand how the mind works, how we are creating this division. But slowly understanding based on faith will you don't have to. You don't have to. So what we develop through, especially if we are spiritually interested and we are studying scriptures, is we develop a sort of a self-critical witness part in us that is observing us, but it doesn't have much compassion. It doesn't have much kindness, and it holds us to task against a whole bunch of ideals that are up there. Somebody's written them. But if they are not lived by you, if they are not yours, if you cannot find everything in yourself, you don't change. Reading scriptures doesn't change you. So when I did this one-on-one thing that I want to do with you, when I want to offer you, when I did this for myself, I was shocked how for 60 years it took me 60 years to see what was really defining my life, which parts of me. And everybody that I have done this with, some of them are psychiatrists, some of them are psychologists, a lot of them have been doing yoga for many years. Everyone expresses that I have taken them to an insight that is round the corner twice and you cannot come to on your own, because you do not see what you do not see. So it's never too late to wake up. It's never too late to take charge. It's never too late to start growing in joy and abundance and well-being. It is our birthright. So, if there are no other questions, Zoni, I will end here. I will see you tomorrow. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Rachna. Bye.